Okay. Hey everybody, now that Survivor 50 is done and over with, and congratulations to Aubrey for winning that $2 million. I figured we could probably rank all of the Survivor twists now that that season has finally stopped throwing them at us. So just to get started, I did want to just say, what exactly is a twist? This is what I'm going off of, by the way. Going off of this definition just from the wiki, which is just saying that it's any game-changing altercation to the game's original format seen in the first season, Borneo. So, although it technically might not count, that also includes things like ways tribes are divided, how votes sometimes can go, or just different format changes in general. So to start off with, even though technically is in season one too, that it's that at the end of the game, the jury decides who wins. I think this is a really cool concept. It's one that I think, in my mind, is synonymous with the show of Survivor. Putting that in this top tier, this peak Survivor tier. Speaking of those, there's five of which, starting with the top one, which is Peak Survivor. To me, Peak Survivor, when I think of the show, I think of this, or I think this is just such an integral part of the show that it's it's just so fitting, so perfect. Below that is, excuse me, is interesting. Interesting is this twist is good. I like this twist. It was utilized well. Maybe it was executed well. Maybe it just wasn't used to its fullest potential. Maybe it just wasn't used enough, or maybe a different reason too. And then in the middle is the potential tier. That means it had an idea, we got it, we saw what happened, but it maybe just wasn't fully realized, kind of like those an interesting, but maybe just a little bit lackluster in thought process overall, or maybe just a little confusing in general, but the idea was there. And then under potential is we have why and why, why, yeah, why. Why did you have to have this advantage or twist or whatever it was? It just doesn't make sense. Maybe it wasn't fully thought out. Something didn't click, but was still added to this anyway. And then lastly, forget you, go home, goodbye. In the ephemeral words of Miss Crystal from Survivor Gabon, the worst of the worst is going down there in that tier. So anything that maybe breaks the game in some way, nobody asked for it, something just completely game changing in one sense or another, not in a good way, or maybe it wasn't a good way for somebody, will go in that bottom tier. But yes, so that first one, maybe we can count it, maybe we can't. I'm counting it anyways. The jury decides a winner. I think that's such an interesting part of the show. How after the merge, everyone who gets voted out then has to decide who of the final few castaways deserves to win. It adds an interesting social element to the game that we might not see in a lot of other shows without this twist. For example, someone 100% physical, 100% strategic could go on and steamroll the game without any regard for other people, other castaways on the island itself. So, top tier for me. This next one is in Survivor Australian Outback, and this is a 42-day season. Borneo was 39 days. Most of the old school and modern era were 39-day seasons. However, Jeff went on record saying that it's the sequel season. It needs to be bigger and better and better and better in every which way. And so why be 39 days when you can have 42? That one, maybe it's I can get what they're saying, but it doesn't really make much sense to me. So putting that in why. The next one, Tribe Swap, which first was shown in Africa. Easy, 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 easy. Peak Survivor right there. It was So fun to watch that for the first time, seeing the reactions on all the players' faces to the realization of what was going on. Until that point in time, you could really kind of just make and build and rely on an alliance from the tribe you started on and ride that out through the merge through the end of the game. Win if you had enough friends in the jury, maybe not if you don't. So I really like this shakeup. I think it really adds another layer of strategic and social maneuvering to the game. And for the most part, something I look forward to each season it happens. All right. So then the next twist is a rock draw. Rock draw is also gonna go in Peak Survivor. I love a good rock draw. I wish we had more, man. There's nothing like the tension of just sitting there watching a tribal. It starts escalating, escalating, escalating. We all think it in the back of our minds. Is this gonna go to rocks? And we've heard it before. We heard all these players saying, "I'm willing to go to rocks." So it's such a fun concept to me. I love watching the few times it's happened. Such different times, all three of them. But yeah, the first one in Marquesas, very interesting and different results than in Blood versus Water and Millennials versus Gen X. But always a tense moment, always a fun moment. Definitely synonymous with the show, and one that I'm sure many of us fans like to see. The next twist, which was in Thailand, the fake merge. I gotta put this one down in why. I don't like it. It seems mean-spirited. I mean, but that's very fitting for the season that this premiered and debuted on in Thailand, which I guess is fitting. Poor Cheyenne really thought that was real and thought she could play around it. Come to find out that there is no merge and she's fucked. So, not the best idea. Was an idea regardless, so good for that, but just not one that I personally enjoy. The next one is what a lot of people would not consider really a twist, but by that definition of just changing the original formula in any sort of capacity from that wiki. It's gendered tribes. I think there's potential here. We've seen it done to death, however, throughout the 50 seasons of this show. But definitely potential. It gives us fun, memorable characters, lots of refuting and reinforcing stereotypes. But very interesting the first few times we saw it, the first few. Okay. Moving on to the next one is one that I wish we saw more often, and I'm going to put this in the interesting tier. It says, you can't really see it, but it says bartering for supplies. This was at the beginning of Pearl Islands. I thought this is such an interesting idea, having the castaways be marooned and immediately start. How creative can you be? How ingenious and intuitive can you be? What can you make a barter for? What can you find? We see people like Rupert just completely stealing whatever the other tribe had, all their shoes, to trade them for different supplies. I wish we saw this more often, but seeing as the show will only probably film in one location for the rest of our lives, probably won't happen. Okay, and then this next twist, kidnapping. I think for the most part, there's potential in kidnapping. I like the idea of it in general. I like that you win a challenge, you bring someone over. Maybe it's somebody you want to absorb into an alliance, a tribe. Maybe it's just a vote block. There's certainly strategic merit to it. Very interesting. But yeah, I like the original idea, and we don't see that too often, truthfully. I wish we seen it a little bit more. There's potential there, absolutely. The next twist, the Outcast twist. And this was a wild twist for the time, early in the show. It's still a wild twist today by 2026 standards. Comprise a whole separate tribe of all the voted out players, have them battle out against everybody else and their tribes, and then earn your way back into the game. Very interesting. That's for sure. I like that. I like the premise of it. I like how it worked out. Um, I'm not really sure it could have really worked that well in any other season. It's just so fitting for Pearl Islands. So I don't know. Maybe I got a soft spot for this one, but it's either gonna be top of potential or bottom of interesting. I don't know. I think it's got potential. That's for sure. Definitely one we could see again. Now, one that we absolutely have seen again, probably a million times, is the double tribal twist. Now, double tribal, this is when after the merge, we get, well, it could be during or before the merge too. Um, we just get two tribes going to tribal, and then everybody from their tribe votes somebody off. It's interesting. It's a fun way to shake up the game, especially if things are getting predictable, if alliances are steamrolling, what have you. It's interesting. I like that. I just don't like when it gets relied upon or when players start to know it's coming and plan around it. Granted, if you know it's coming and plan around it, does that say something about your strategic acumen? Probably. Um, but I'm just not the biggest fan. I guess there's still potential in it regardless. And so far in these rows, there's really no hierarchy yet. We could rank those at the end, but for now, I'm just throwing them in categories. And now this next one, also from Pearl Islands. So there's actually going to be two twists here. There's going to be the buried treasure twist and also the eluding twist. The buried treasure twist, you win a challenge, you get a clue to this buried treasure. Oh, there's food in it. Cool. Let's open it. Turns out all the food is bad. So if I was ranking just that one, it would probably be in one of these bottom two tiers. However, also ranking the looting part as well, which by all means should just be a separate category, but I forgot about it until just start talking about this video. Looting, however, I think is leaps and bounds, heads and tails above the buried treasure twist. That's such an interesting concept to me. Letting one tribe win a challenge and then they can come over, send one person from their tribe, steal something from yours, and keep going the next day. That's such an interesting dynamic and one that I definitely wish we saw for sure more. So I think if, like I said, buried treasure, if it was alone, probably down here. But looting itself probably would be higher. So averaging them out, let's put that in our potential. That's for sure. All right. Returning players, boring, but we've seen it a lot, and it really depends on who it is. But I'm going to put it in interesting. For the most part, Survivor does a pretty good job of picking who they want to come back on seasons. Granted, there are a few times where maybe a certain somebody on Philippines that we won't say his name, but don't really like some of the choices. But for the most part, they do a pretty good job in picking who to return, and a lot of the returnee season have pretty good watchability. You tend to root for those returners for the most part, besides personal biases if you have any. So for the most part, pretty interesting. And the next one was from Palau, and this is the fire making as a tiebreaker, not as a Final Four twist. That will be a lot later. Well, maybe not that much a lot, but it'll be later. So I like this. This is interesting to me. I think at the time, watching Pagong as like my second season of this show, I had no idea what was going to happen. I was like, surely they won't lose all their members. Surely. Like, what would they do? Jeff would never let that happen, because by that time, in modern standards, the show is in like in the 30s, and by that time, Jeff would have already swapped tribes, merged tribes, expanded tribes. Who knows? To prevent something like that. But at that point, yeah, Stephanie and Bobby John, and that was just such a wild outcome. I liked Stephanie at that point, and it's certainly interesting to see her character arc from there. But that's to me an interesting twist. All right, the next twist from Guatemala is the hidden immunity idol. That's easily Peak Survivor. It just makes so much sense intuitively. It makes so much sense strategically. One that people are constantly playing around and playing for every season. It's Peak Survivor. Okay, next. Exile Island. To me, because of when I started watching this show, Exile Island is Peak Survivor. I think that's such an interesting concept to me. Sending someone away, the strategic merits of that, the social consequences of that, how sometimes usually there's some sort of idol or advantage hidden there as well. Such a fun concept to me, and I love the seasons that have that. It's just so cool, and to me, that's Peak Survivor. Next, again, not necessarily what most people would consider a twist, but certainly something that caught attention was dividing tribes by race. And truthfully, you could make an argument for anywhere on this, but I think it's truthfully an interesting concept, but again, one that cost CBS a lot in partnerships, ads, etc. And rightfully so. Like this is national television. This is a very, very fragile place to test out a very fragile concept like that. So, I mean, to me, I think that for the time was interesting, but I mean, there's really a big question mark there. Why did they do that? Okay. Mutiny to me, interesting, very, very interesting. Giving the chance for castaways to switch tribes, I think is so interesting. You really don't know what would happen, because sometimes, like the first season that this debuted in, nobody mutinied, and then in Cook Islands, two people, Penner and Candace, both mutinied to Raro, and then we all know what happened from there. The I-2 force steamrolled. Very interesting concept, one that I'm not sure if modern Survivor could pull off, given the different set of twists that they like to have, but one that I wouldn't mind seeing again, that's for sure. All right, next is the bottle twist. And really, there's not much reason here to have this twist. I understand kind of why. In Cook Islands, it was specified that maybe it would be different depending on who won the reward challenge, Raro or I2. And of course, I2-4, this is during their steamroll. There's only 4 of them. And Raro is forced to vote 2 people out at the tribal council that night. So would it have been the same if I2 had lost that challenge? I don't know, because that's half of their tribe, and then they would have, like Palau, had to go to a forced fire making challenge if they had lost again to see who their sole member would be, and then at that point it's a forced merge. So would that really have happened? I don't know. I think it just seems a little ham-handed in the season, though. But granted, with all the challenges that I2 was winning, fast forwarding another one maybe wasn't the worst thing ever. And then the last one of Cook Islands is Final 3. Personally, I have always been partial to a Final 2 instead of a Final 3. I think the comparison is a little bit more intuitive. The gameplay is a little bit more easy to see versus maybe 3 people. However, 3 people does create a pretty interesting dynamic. It's something that we've seen multiple players try to do strategically to beef up themselves and take 2 people they know they can beat with them. And in a Final 3, we see that archetype a lot, truthfully. Would I mind seeing another final two? No, I wish we would see more final twos. I think that's pretty cool. Uh, I think I'm just used to final three by now, so I would just keep it down in mid. It's mid. The have and have not twist versus in this is Fiji. The have and have not twist just feels mean spirited. Again, it feels like the fake merge. I have a hard time watching it. It's not an enjoyable thing to go through, and really don't wish that on anyone. If you're a have, you're really living it up, and if you're a have not, you're just kind of stuck for a while. It's not exactly like how Big Brother used to be, where it's just for a week. Like that's for a while. So it just seems a little like a bad idea and not super purposeful in my mind. In Fiji, we also saw the first group tribal, and group tribal was splitting the merged tribe into two groups, having one group win the immunity challenge and one group lose the immunity challenge, and then the losing group had to vote someone off, and the winning group, they were all safe. I like this concept. I don't have a problem with it. It's one that we've seen a lot of over the years, and it's one that players who know that they will be on the show know that this is something that they should be able to play around. Sometimes it's interesting, sometimes it's not. It's a pretty mid thing at this point. Maybe there are ways to spice it up or to make it a little bit better. But as it is right now, I just am not excited, nor am I sitting there rolling my eyes when this gets announced. All right, another tribe distribution is the fans versus favorites. And I don't have much to say on this. I think it's interesting. If used correctly, obviously, we got two different distributions of that twist, if you call it that, tribe division twist. The Micronesian one was insane. If it was just that one, probably would have ranked it up here at peak. But after Karamoan, I am convinced that sometimes the CBS producers hate us. So I would be convinced to throw that a little bit lower down here even. But regardless, the concept itself is cool. I like it. Many other people do too. So it will stay for now in interesting. And then in the season after that, Token Chains, first impressions twist. This twist was when they have the first episode, they're all coming together, all together for the first time. You vote somebody that you don't like, you don't think they're gonna help you, etc. Whatever Jeff says, and immediately they get voted out from your tribe at the start. Now, granted, are they actually leaving? No, that's a different twist. But this one is all about first impressions, and it's interesting to say the least. We've seen it a few different times across different seasons. Just not one that I think has much impact, truthfully. We've seen that in the Brains versus Bronze versus Beauty, Cagayan. We've seen that in Token Chains. We've seen that in Blood versus Water with a few different times. I'm just not super impressed by it. It just seems like a needless way to maybe fish for drama or fish for some sort of interaction. Okay, and then in Samoa, we have a ton of twists. All right, so Tribe Leader. Tribe Leader seems pointless to me, seems not like a fun thing to go through if you don't want to be the leader and are, and if you want to be the leader and aren't. And obviously we saw how that went, but I don't think there's much point for that. However, on the other side of that, the observing twist, you win a challenge and you send someone from your tribe over to the other tribe to surveil, gather details, give you kind of what the dynamic is over there. That's top tier to me. That's interesting. I love that. I'm a nosy person. I love knowing all the details, information, and knowledge is power. So this to me is very interesting. I do like this. However, probably our first wasted twist, idea, concept, the DIY challenge. This is supposed to say DIY. DIY challenge, when the players and the castaways run a challenge without full, like, all of the challenge people there, not really like a challenge course sometimes, not even having Jeff there to host it. It just feels lazy. It just feels boring. It just feels like a waste of time. I mean, even on a season like 50, the first episode where we have Q and Coach and Ozzy all fighting for the supplies on that island, without Jeff there, them trying to build and get the key off so that they can all have the supplies. I don't know. It just felt like a little hollow to me. Like something was missing. Obviously, Jeff is missing, but just not a super fun idea to me. It just seems like a waste of time, truthfully. Now, granted, on the other side of that, the joint tribal, I really like this concept, having a huge tribal to vote someone out. I think there's a lot of interesting dynamics that can be displayed if, I guess, if this goes well. Now, granted, if it's a steamroll season, if it's a predictable season, if the players aren't very excited, if they aren't very motivated, if they aren't very playful in the game at all, this can be pretty boring. But I think for the most part, there's pretty good potential here, the joint tribal. Okay, now I have pretty mixed feelings about this next one, the Medallion of Power. The Medallion of Power was in Nicaragua. And if you know anything about Nicaragua, you know that it was yet again an age distribution for the tribes, young and old. The whole idea with the Medallion of Power was one tribe had it. You could give the Medallion of Power to Jeff during the challenge to get some sort of challenge advantage. However, by doing so, you forfeit the medallion and the other tribe gets it. Now, of course, why would the young people even need to use this when they're competing against a bunch of old people anyway? Was the core concept of why this really didn't get used much. Which, I mean, I don't disagree with, but potential there, regardless. If this was on a normal season, maybe a new school season, maybe an open era season, this could have more potential. But as of right now, at least the way it was introduced, there's potential for sure. Okay. Redemption Island. Redemption Island is one that has a lot of polarizing feelings, opinions, thoughts, comments, questions, everything there. What do I think? Okay, I like the concept of it. I think it's an interesting concept. I think it's a fun way to garner a little bit more interest, to foster a little bit more attention to what's going on in the game. However, conceptually speaking, having someone get voted out, potentially who's a challenge threat, and just having them win them back into the game seems like it completely disregards the integrity of the game in the first place. So I'm not really sure if I can rate that one high in good faith. However, it does provide an interesting thought experiment. Do you send the more physical players to Redemption Island on purpose so that they can win their way back in potentially or confidently? Or do you send your weaker players there because you know they're not as physically oriented and they won't have to compete against all those strong people, all strong physical players left in the game? Hypothetically, of course. I think it's an interesting concept. I I think the seasons that it's on could be better. I don't like 22. It's interesting at least on 23, South Pacific, 27, Blood versus Water. I get why it was there. Good tension, good emotional stakes. So overall, would probably put that one in the interesting section. One World, the One World twist where both tribes, back when we started with two tribes, lived on the same beach instead of having them live separately on different parts of the island. Um, I want to like this. I think it's an interesting twist, and I've seen many people say that it really could provide another layer of the game, which I agree with. If you share a beach with a tribe, it's much easier to make those social connections pre-merge, to make those connections to deepen your position in the game, potentially even have a better way of winning. Now, granted, in this season, in season 24, One World, did we see it used very well? Not really. I mean, Colton, of course, who just didn't want to work with the guys until he was automatically the ringleader for the guys, sending them to tribal after they win immunity and everything. Um, but I don't think we saw this used to its full potential. So it might seem like a bit of a cop-out, but definitely, definitely potential there. Blood versus Water. I like this theme. I like the idea of having a family member with you to play the game. And clearly I'm not the only one, right? Like, there's more than one Blood versus Water season, 27 and 29. Both good seasons. I like the concept of it. It gave us interesting characters, to say the least. Um, I can't say I'm too high on it either way, though. Will it come back? Potentially. It's a good twist to have, but it's one that I think we've seen it squeezed for all of its worth. Potentially, maybe just another season in it, but I don't know. And then Day Zero. Day Zero, which we saw at the beginning of season 27, Blood versus Water, was when the contestants and their loved ones stayed that first night, which they considered Day Zero, on the island together. And it kind of made them think that they were just playing, like, just together, the two of them as a team. And then, of course, we see Day One, they get split up to different tribes, the people who played before, the returnees, and their loved ones. It's interesting. I just don't know why we needed to see it, truthfully. So it doesn't to me add anything. I don't really even know if you could call that a twist, but according to the wiki, it is. So there's really not much to say on that one. All right, then another tribe division that is considered a twist is the Brains, Bronze, and Beauties. I think this is interesting. I think across the two seasons that we've seen this theme and twist in, we get a good array of people who both are stereotypically what you would think of when you think of that specific attribute, brain, brawn, beauty. And then we also get a good handful of people who are not so typically thought of when you think of those things. For example, I don't really think of Trish as a brawn in Cagayan, but she's there. Makes sense. I don't think of, for example, Jatia, brain. She's educated, but she didn't act that smart. I don't think of, all these people. There's interesting characters abound. It's a fun theme, a fun concept, and one that I would not mind if we saw again, that's for sure. The next twist, the hero duty or the hero duels twist, is we've only seen that in the one season in San Juan del Sur, and that is we have someone and their loved one dueling against each other. You win the duel, you earn a reward for yourself, send your loved one to exile, choose someone else from your tribe to join them. It's it's interesting somewhat, but it feels like it's ham-handed into the season because the previous Blood vs. Water season had a similar duel setting with the Redemption Island twist in 2 seasons before. Does it add anything besides a fight between John and Natalie, and that's kind of it? No, I don't think so. So I'm leaving this one down in why. I don't think it's very interesting. I didn't add anything, and it wasn't taking any sort of agency away from the game, really. All right, after that, extra vote. The extra vote twist advantage. I think this is a fun one, giving someone an extra vote at tribal council and then choosing when they want to use it. Sometimes can be really helpful and sometimes can be really hurtful. Now, granted, we are getting into the advantage heavy part of the show, so a lot of these will be advantage twists. And I think this one is pretty plain Jane. It makes sense. I think it's interesting, I would say. If I put Redemption Island in interesting, I gotta put extra vote. Tribe expansion. Seems pointless to me. Sorry. We saw that in Cambodia, and that was when we expanded from 2 tribes to 3 tribes. Didn't really add much, and it didn't last for super long either. It's interesting that it's an option, but just because it's an option doesn't mean it's interesting. 100% interesting. But that's really all there is to say with that one. I don't think that really adds much to it, truthfully, to the show, the narrative, too much. It is what it is. So, next is the vote steal. Vote steal is interesting. I like this. I think this is more interesting than the extra vote out of all of the advantage twists. I would say it's fun when someone has it. It's cool to see someone who has that use it well instead of someone stealing a vote and splitting their 2 votes, as opposed to someone like Sari or a Sarah Lacina using it and stacking the votes together on someone. There's a lot of strategic agency there, and I think you can be pretty creative with that. This one's hard to see. You totally can't see it, and the only reason I know what it is because I wrote it, is the combinable idol. I think there's an interesting aspect of collaboration with this one. There's certainly a way to use this strategically to not only build trust in others, but have further armed yourself with an advantage as well. That's the intention, of course. But this doesn't seem like a very interesting twist to me. And it's not one that I ever look forward to seeing when I watch the show, truthfully. I can understand why it's here, but it just doesn't seem super interesting, truthfully. All right, now one that I'm pretty excited to talk about, actually, is the juror removal twist. I'm just going to tell you guys straight up, I'm putting this top of interesting. I think this is so cool, regardless of how fair it actually is. We can debate fairness, of course, but I think that's so cool to have the option to snipe a juror out of the jury, right? And I mean, when Michelle does it, it's the finale episode. It is right before they cast their votes for a winner. She snipes Neil out. I love that so much. Do I feel bad? Of course. Yeah. But such an interesting concept to me. One that I kind of wish we could see again, but one that I understand why we probably won't see again. Legacy. The legacy twist advantage doesn't seem interesting to me. I'm sorry. It's a glorified hidden immunity idol. They can only be used at certain tribals. So sometimes, like the final 11, final 6, you can only use this then. And if you get voted out with it, you have to will it to another player. So someone else inherits that advantage. It's not interesting to me. Um, it's cool as a concept. I don't feel very thought out or not one that I see people being too excited, nor would I be if I was on the show to get it. If I mean, granted, if all of these were in play and I got this, I don't know if I'd want that. I don't know if I would want that. Reward steal is very interesting to me. It seems petty. It seems like it would spark drama. It seems like a good option if you have not eaten, if you have not showered, if you have not brushed your teeth, if you have not slept, if you have not, all these basic necessities that Survivor deprives us of. This is your chance to get a little taste of that and maybe share it with a tribe as well. I think that's an interesting concept and one that I wish we saw again. And I wouldn't be too upset if we saw some sort of remix version of it too, where you could steal the reward and do something else with it. And you could invite 2 or 3 people from the losing tribe, I wouldn't mind seeing some sort of remix version like that as well. That's pretty cool. The advantage menu. I hate the advantage menu. It is. I think it's a little OP, giving someone the opportunity to pick which advantage twist they want. I'm just sitting here rolling my eyes. That's just a complete gut check right there. There's no way to even check that power. Like, you see that, that you're going to be sitting pretty, like how Debbie was for a while at least when she got that after talking to Cochran. Insane. I hate that. It's not one that I like seeing at all. It feels very much Mario Party or Mario Kart. Let me hit the item box. Let me hit the double item box and see which 2 items I get and use them both. Like, it's absolutely insane. Ridiculous. The vote block. I'm putting the vote block up here with interesting. It's a fun concept. I like that. And I think there's really no way to make it worse or better. I think it's perfect the way it is. It's pretty straightforward. It seems like something that intuitively has its place in the game of Survivor. I like it. I think it's a fun concept. All right, so this is going to be our next bad twist. You can't see it, but this says forest fire making at Final Four, and then we have Ben and Devin from Triple H. But I don't like this at all. I like it. The only redeeming thing I can say about this twist is that, yes, I agree with the notion that back then, if you made it 39 days, almost 39, nowadays, if you made it 26 days or almost 26 days, you should absolutely know how to make a fire. That makes sense. Everything else about it feels kind of like an afterthought. I don't like the way it was introduced without any sort of precursor or acknowledgement in 35. I'm not saying that anything more or less than it's just a weird twist, and I think if it had its place, it was a while ago, but not now. It could be a fun tiebreaker option like we saw with Steph and Bobby John, but I don't think having this every season from 35 onward really needs to happen. And I'm not so sure there are a lot of forest fire making defenders out there, truthfully. But if you are, good for you. Just definitely not one of them. All right, so split tribal is gonna go in my Y. Split tribal. Okay. I like the concept of split tribal, but that's about it. it seems like a lazy way of getting rid of more people because of pacing, production issues, because of you have someone come back and you aren't going to stick to schedule, etc., etc. It's a fun concept, but oftentimes the people that get booted from this, I wish we see more of. So it's out there. It's a twist, but it's not a very enjoyable twist, and especially when we get to its older cousin, older brother, later on from Survivor 50. Idle Nullifier. This is Peak Survivor. I think it's only fair if you have a hidden immunity idol that there should be some way to check that power, and the idol nullifier is perfect, I think. Really not much else to say. Pretty straightforward, very easy, very synonymous with the game of Survivor to me, along with these other 5 twists. Edge of Extinction. I hate it. I think the only redeeming factor of EOE is in season 40 when we actually got to see more of all the voted out winners instead of just having Natalie Anderson there a day, Danny Boatwright there a few days, Ethan Zahn there a few days, Parvati and Sandra there a few days. Like, that's to me the only redeeming factor. I don't like the way that its initial season goes. That seems very cheap and gimmicky to have the winner come back into the game at the end of the game, already be best friends with everyone, and knock out the front runner in fire making and win because of that. You know what? Does it go down there? It does. Okay. Island of the Idols. That one will stick in Y. It's a remix version of EOE. You compete for your votes and an advantage, but again, not a fun twist, not a very fun interest to partake in those twists, and not really one season that I like watching because of which. Safety without power. It's interesting. I think it's easy. It's straightforward. You're safe. You don't come to tribal council. You make it to the next day, but you don't cast a vote. You don't have any other sway on the game. Maybe it's just potential. It's just potential. It's not interesting. It's very straightforward. Next, fire tokens. I think fire tokens have potential. I understand why they were used for season 40. It's interesting to me, like Yule said in that season, to have some sort of economy and some sort of currency that the players could have used with so many capable, adept, adequate players of the game, winners, mind you. There has to be some sort of way to keep them on their toes. And the fire tokens twist was a way to do so. Now, granted, was it a good way to do so? I don't know. I think it would be interesting to see it come back, but I wish that there was more there. But it does teeter a very fine edge of potentially breaking the game. If you have an alliance hoarding fire tokens, you can bank them out to each other, Venmo them to each other, depending on what you guys need, and maybe steamroll the game from there. If you can keep buying idols, why would you not, Okay. 50-50 coin. I don't like it. 50-50 coin, you flip it, and either you're safe or you're not safe. At Tribal Council, Michelle Fitzgerald famously flipped and got the safe option at Winners of War. It's okay. It seems gimmicky to me. I don't like it. Yeah, granted, it is a twist, but just not a very interesting twist. Again, we see a lot of knockoff hidden immunity idol twists that maybe should have just been idols. I don't know. But Survivor really likes to do that, to make different forms of their hidden immunity idol. All right, the Beware advantage. I don't like this advantage, truthfully. It's interesting sometimes, um, but it's not something that I think a lot of players would like to see. It's not something I would like to see. It's not very, I mean, it's thought out, but just I don't it's not my favorite by any means. It's this is one that was added after Winners of War, and this is when the show starts to go a little bit crazy with all your options, all your advantages, all your twists that are afforded to you almost regularly now. This is just one of those half-cooked, half-thought ones that doesn't really do much justice to the game or the players, truthfully. Shot in the dark. Now, this is the one exception to the new, well, to one of a few exceptions to the new crazy advantage twist era of the 40s. I think this is an interesting concept. It gives players a last resort safety net to kind of catch themselves just in case things are so bad. Now, granted, like 1 out of 6 is your probability of being safe. The way it works is you forfeit your vote. You have a 1 in 6 probability of using your shot in the dark to be called safe, aka synonymous of having like a idol used on you. None of the votes cast against you count. It is what it is, and I don't think that I don't think it's overpowered. Some seasons we even see players wager them in order to get food or something, like in 47. Interesting concept. I like the addition. Not one that I would have thought of to be as intuitive to the game as like an extra vote or a vote steal, a vote blocker, what have you. Knowledge is power. This just feels, I mean, there's potential here. It's not interesting, but it has to be used correctly so that this is balanced. It's you ask another player if they have an idol. If they do, it becomes yours. There really isn't much else to say about this one. We've seen it before. We've seen it be used, and it's just not one of my favorites. But I think they're missing something. Truthfully, it could have another layer to it to take it from potential to interesting. Maybe give it more of a blowback if you don't get something right, and maybe if you do get it right, maybe have the option of like, can you do XYZ with the insight? Can you send it to another player? Can you gain that player's vote as well? Can you block their vote as well? I think that would take it from potential to interesting, up the stakes a little bit more. But as it stands right now, pretty useful twist advantage. Another one is the summit or journey. So journeys have been around now. Modern Survivor audiences know that if you go on a journey, you risk your vote to potentially win an advantage, etc. What these used to be called back in the day were summits. They've been around, just not in the same capacity as journeys. And for this, I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm in between why or potential. There's potential, it's interesting, but at the same time, you're broadcasting to your whole tribe. Yes, I have an advantage. Yes, I don't have a vote. So it's a very big gamble to take. And is it one that I think is particularly interesting? I don't think so. No. I wish I wish it was a little bit more covert, but it is what it is. Maybe that's part of the balancing act of the power of the journey itself. Hourglass twist, easily the worst thing I've ever seen on this show. I hate it so much. The hourglass twist, if you so you get sent to exile, Jeff shows up, brings this hourglass to you. You have the option of smashing it. If you do, it reverses the immunity challenge result to give the losing tribe and yourself immunity, and then the winning tribe actually has to go to council itself. This just feels OP and too broken. I don't like it. It feels cheap. It compromises a lot of the game itself, and I really wish it didn't exist. Do or die. Also in the worst tier. Do or die. You have to, again, just a waste of time. I really don't think that a lot of the twists that the new era of Survivor added do it much justice, the show. And unfortunately, this is like the hourglass twist, just one of those that really does nothing for the show. So we're putting that in the bottom tier as well. Advantage amulet. I really don't like this either. This seems like a really boring and stupid idea. I mean, the one thing I can say is sometimes the collaboration is interesting, like in 47, but for the most part, this seems like a waste of space and wasted idea. I'm really not here for this. The choose your champion. The choose your champion twist is interesting, but I just don't understand why we would add internal insider trading, betting, gambling to Survivor as you actively are another contestant on this season. It's an idea, but is it a good one? I really don't think so. All right, this one a little hard to see, the inheritance advantage. I'm also putting this down in the Y category. I think there are very, very, very easy ways to break this advantage. At the tribal council, you use this when you go to vote. By using your inheritance advantage, you gain all of the other advantages, idols, etc., used at that tribal council. Hypothetically, to break this, if you were to use your own idol, etc., whatever you have, you get it back anyway, and you can use the dang thing twice. Like I said, I don't like this idea. It's very fine line on bordering whether or not you would be breaking the game or not, especially with the forethought that could go into what can we make out of two idols? What can we make out of two vote steals? What can, it's very easy to see the implications. I don't like the idea as a whole, and it seems useless. Well, it's not useless, it's just not fun. The bank your vote. The bank your vote twist. You can save your vote from a council and then use two at a later council. There's just potential here. I think that it's certainly a concept of all time, but is it one that's going to be super useful? Not really. Not really. Usually you need your vote there in the minute, and the second that you have it, if things are coming down to a vote split, if things are coming down to like a 5-4 vote, you need your vote. You can't afford to not have it. You might go home then. Potential there, but not something super, super useful. After this, control a vote. Kind of the same as vote steal. You take someone else's vote. Technically you don't, but you tell them how to vote with the vote. So it's no different than vote steal, so we might as well put those together here. And then the last one of 45, let's see here. The goodwill advantage. The goodwill advantage, there's potential here. The goodwill advantage restores your vote at a time where you don't have it. There's potential. I wish we could see it more, because we certainly have not seen most the most use out of that. All right, Survivor 50. This twist is just the fan vote twist. So fan vote. I think there's interest here. Now, granted, whether or not the fan vote prompts were specified accurately when you voted, whether or not the actual votes of the fan vote were accurately used, whether or not Jeff just did what he wanted anyway and assigned a random number vote to what he wanted to have happen regardless. There's no way for us as fans watching the episodes to know these things. Is it interesting regardless? Yes. This is something that I wished ever since I first started watching Survivor, to have some sort of outcome that we have a say in, of course. But do I think it was great? Not necessarily. And there's a reason it's not in Peak Survivor, and there's probably a reason we will not see it again. Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol. That is this one. It's just a little hard to see. As a concept, I like the idea of an idol boomeranging back to who sent it in the first place. I don't like a lot of things about this, though. I don't like the fact that you can't use it yourself. I don't like the fact that if you find the idol, it has to be sent to someone else. And I don't like that if you have the idol sent to you, you can only play it on yourself. It's a very guardrailed twist advantage, but is it one that I want to see again? Never. Never. I feel so bad because then we run into situations like we did in 50, where the person who sent the original idol is out of the game, but the person who had the idol and went home with the idol, what did they do? Did they send it back to the person that sent it to them regardless and let them re-enter the game? Interesting precedent, but I guess not what happens. Definitely not a twist that I would like to see again. The Jimmy Fallon won in the urn twist. Now, people might be upset, but I think this is an interesting twist. However, we did see it be pretty brutal to Christian in season 50. Now, what happens if you don't do so? This advantage comes with a challenge. You either succeed at the challenge or you lose at the challenge. Christian had a timed puzzle on a dock in the middle of the ocean, and if he completed the advantage or the puzzle in time, what would happen is he would already have an extra vote in the voting urn that night for someone else. And in addition to that, he would also either get to keep his vote, that tribal council, and use it to vote for someone else, or save it, essentially banking it for 2 votes at a later tribal. That's a really great upside. Granted, the downside, and what happened in reality, was Christian had to, if he lost, which he did, had to read in front of everyone that he does not get his vote at tribal. In addition, his vote is cast against himself. Now that's pretty brutal. It's even more brutal having to broadcast that to a whole tribe. But I think things are overall pretty balanced. Maybe the only thing I would add is to have him be able to cast a vote as well at that tribal instead of just having his only vote be against himself. Maybe that's the only change I would make. But I think overall that's pretty balanced. I think unfortunately people are just pretty upset that it happened to whom it happened to. I mean, granted, of course that sucks. All right, the Mr. Beast Beware advantage. I'm not a fan of Beware in the first place. I'm not exactly a fan of Mr. Beast anyway. I don't understand really what that did for the game, except for double the prize pot and give Rick a few more weeks to live with an extra idol instead of going home at the time of this advantage twist. Would it be one that I would like to see again? No, not at all. Blood Moon. I think this is an awful twist. The Blood Moon was a three-way split tribal. The merge happened at 15 or at 17. Ozzy and Rizzo safe at Exile, and then three tribes of five each had their own immunity challenges. Someone won, someone voted out. That seems like an incredibly lazy way of whittling down players and an incredibly lazy way of adding artificial drama to a season. Also, not a fan of the people that left, clearly, but overall, not something that I think added anything to the game, except for fewer episodes. Tied Destinies, I also am not a fan of this. In Survivor 50, everybody partners up for the immunity challenge. You win together, you lose together. Actually, let's move this up. Let's put that up there. There is potential, as Jeff specified. Idols could be played for both people. Idols could be played for a pair instead of just one person. That's an interesting concept. However, not one that was explored. I think it's one that I would like to see again, but I don't think in the way that we saw it. I wish there was something more. It feels like this dish is missing some sort of seasoning or spice to it, and be curious to see what happens. All right, so then the last one, the power broker advantage. I think this is an interesting advantage, personally. I think this is an interesting twist insofar as you personally get to be the one that walks between two tribes separated and also get to vote at both and are immune at both. It's pretty overpowered. Maybe if you could only choose one tribe to vote at, that might make it a little bit more balanced. But I don't think this is a bad idea by any means. And definitely one that I hope we see maybe sometime in the open era as well. But yeah, that looks like our last twist. So this is my overall ranking of all the twists, and I hope that you guys enjoyed. And if there's anything I missed, definitely let me know. I know there totally are ones that I missed. There's so many different permutations and remixes, you never really know. But yep, overall, a lot of twists to Survivor, and for me, this is my personal list of how they all shake out. So thank you guys for watching.